Hi everyone, welcome to lesson 2 of our remote learning for maths. Today you're going to need a pen, a pencil, a ruler or something to measure with, and you're going to need your textbook or paper to write on. So if you could grab those resources now, pause the video and go collect them. Okay, so once you've got that, make sure you get your date and walk written down into your book or onto your paper. And let's turn over the next slide. So make sure you write starter, underline it as a subtitle. And your first 4 starter questions are, number 1, how many meters are in 3 kilometers? How many meters are in 3 kilometers? Anyone from my previous class, remember a kilo means something. It means something in Greek, I believe. It's a value. Question 2, write a subtraction to estimate the answer to 4,780 minus 2,970. So if we're estimating, what do we need to use? Something about going up or down, perhaps. What can we do to those numbers to make it easier to get an estimation or a good guess? What can we do to those numbers? Question 3, find the total of 6,029 and 818. Find the total of 6,029 and 818. And lastly, what is 1/5 of 30? Okay guys, if you want to pause the video and have a go at those starter questions, and when you're ready to continue, press play. So just to recap over what we got on with yesterday, when we're measuring, we make sure we need to count from wherever that object or toy or shape is. So some of you yesterday, if let's say, I think it was the boat, for example, was starting at 5 and it ended at 17, some of you were counting from a different number, or perhaps when you were counting you just skipped a few. Just take your time and actually count each jump. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So the length of this rectangle is 11 centimeters. And I've given you an answer there. That was for free. Right, I'm not going to be as nice for the next 2 questions though. So question 2, calculate 9 plus 4 plus 9 plus 4. And question 3, circle the multiples of 4. The multiples of 4. So pause the video and have another go at those. So as we discussed, I jumped the gun a little bit there. The length of the rectangle in this instance is 11 centimeters. Calculate 9 plus 4 plus 4. Well, we can do 9 plus 4 equals 13, and because then we've repeated that addition, we don't need to work out again. So we could do 13 add 13, which equals 26. Another method you might end up using is that you might add up the multiples. So for instance, I know 9 and 9 equals 18 because of my 9 times table, and I know 2 lots of 4 are 8 because of my 4 times table, and then I know 4 add 18, or 8 add 18 is 26. So whichever works for you guys. Circle the multiples of 4. Actually, that'll do it for us. 12, 8, and 20. So these are all numbers within the 4 times table. They're all multiples when we count in our 4s. So the first question today, to go back to our WALT, which is measure perimeter. What is perimeter? So that's the first question you're going to answer about today. So first of all, if you can write down what you believe the perimeter is, if you want to pause the video while you get the answer down. Okay, so the perimeter is the length around a closed 2D shape. A closed 2D shape. So the perimeter would measure all of these edges, or sides should I say, of this closed shape. So if I had a piece of a string, I could hold the string down here, measure the string to this corner, stop, oops, make sure it's straight, measure it to this corner, stop, keep pulling that piece of string to measure to that corner, and then eventually I can drag it all the way to the last corner, and then I can unravel the whole string and measure it with a ruler, just like we've shown here. So how big is our, I'll let you guys write this down, how big is our rectangle? Bonus points if you can tell me in centimeters and millimeters. So there's our answer. The perimeter of the rectangle is 22 centimeters. And did anyone get the millimeters? So 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeters. So if we have to convert from centimeters to millimeters, we need to times by 10. That means we need to times 22 by 10. Has anyone worked it out yet? So if you've put 220 millimeters, you get a bonus point. Well done. I've got a battery for my pen coming soon, so hopefully my annotations on our screen should look much better than these dodgy numbers at the moment, so bear with me. Okay, so we talked about a perimeter can only be measured on a closed shape. So which shapes can we measure the perimeter of from these shapes on display? So I'll give you a couple of seconds to write down the letters of which you think can be measured. Okay, so if you've put A and D, you will be correct. They are closed because they don't have any open areas on the shape. However, B, like imagine if a field had an open gate the cows could get out, the perimeter is not sealed. Same with C, there's a gap in between some of the sides. However, D, just like A, although it's a different shape, it's a sealed or closed loop, so it's a perimeter that we can measure, although this shape would be quite hard to measure its perimeter. Why do you think that might be? Okay, so Tiny Tim has said, I think I can find the perimeter of this shape because I can see that it must be a rectangle. Now, I don't think, the girl replies, I don't think we can just predict that it must be a rectangle. It could be several other shapes. So it could be one of these rectilinear shapes. So, wow, Eva. So that means that we can only find the perimeter of closed shapes, Tiny Tim has said. I would agree. Tim, there can't be any gaps, so bear that in mind. Okay, so we're going to have a go at questions 1 and 2 on your worksheet now. So your worksheet should look a little bit like this today. Now it's going to be a little tricky today to mark the work here because you're all going to have different size screens, different size laptops or tablets, and if you don't print the sheet off, all the answers are going to be slightly different. So I'm going to show you as best I can how we would do this, but it might be just worth getting mum or dad to sit with you just to double check your answers tonight, because I don't want to put that you got something wrong when you in fact did measure it correctly. It's just a different size to what it would be printed off. So if you had a piece of string, you would take that piece of string and you'd start by holding your finger down onto this corner. You would then drag that piece of string all the way down till you get to this corner. You would then use your finger to hold that corner and drag the next piece of string to here. Then repeat the process, move your other finger, hold it down, drag the string to the top corner, hold your finger down and drag it to the first corner that you started on. Once you've got that whole piece of string measured out, you'll be able to hold it out straight and then you can measure the length. Alternatively, what you could do is taking a ruler. You could, starting at 0, measure this length to here, jot it down, and then you can measure this length to here and jot it down. And then just like in our 9 plus 4 plus 9 plus 4, do you need to measure these lengths again, or have you already done it? So have a go at measuring these sides, and then the question is, use a piece of wool to measure the perimeter of each rectangle. How much wool did you use for each one? So that's question 1. Question 2, you're sticking with the wool or string idea. You could even use a shoelace if you didn't have any wool or string. Use a piece of wool to measure the perimeter of the hexagon. How much wool did you need? Give the units to your answer. So units, really important, guys. You might use millimeters or centimeters, but make sure whichever one you use the same one you measured with. Because a 1 millimeter square is very different to a 1 meter square. Okay. I think it was question 1 and 3, wasn't it? 1 and 2, right? So pause the video there, guys, and crack on with those questions, and I'll see you back in a second. Okay, perimeter is the length around a closed 2D shape, as we mentioned. So we can use a ruler to measure these lengths. So for instance, starting from one corner and ending to the other, just like we practiced yesterday, make sure your ruler is set to 0. And then just like we did with our warm-up, let's change the color of our pen. We need to make sure we count from the 0, 1, 2, 3, oops, let me start that again. I'm going to count in twos. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So starting at 0 and ending where our where our corner ends. For now, what I would suggest is that if it's closer to the 8 or closer to the 9, round up or round down, because the sizes are going to be slightly different for everyone. If we round up or round down, then it makes it much easier. And then same with the vertical length, moving the 0 to the one of the points and then measuring all the way up till we get to the other point. So this other length is 13 centimeters. Now, like I said earlier, do we need to measure these these lengths again? if we know it's a rectangle, I wonder if we do. Let's double check. So because it has equal sides and equal lengths, we know that this side's going to be 9 centimeters, and I wonder who can tell me what this side's going to be. Have you guessed? Yeah, 13 centimeters as well. So we can add these up to give our perimeter length. So we've got 9, add 13, add 9, add 13. I'll give you a second to work that out if you want to pause the video. Okay, so you should have got 44 centimeters. Okay guys, it's time to have a go at questions 3 and 4 on the worksheet now. So pause the video and have a go at using a ruler. Okay, so the next question is, can you work out the perimeter of a square? Now think about the rules that we just had for the rectangle. Do we need, what do we know about a square? What information do we know about a square? And what does that mean, or what does that tell us about the other sides? So if you said or thought that a square has 4 equal sides, then you'd be correct. So that would mean that these other 3 sides are all going to equal, did you say 6 meters? Indeed, you're right. So 6 meters each. So 6 add 6 add 6 add 6, or 6 times 4 equals 24 meters. So here's a challenge. Draw a quadrilateral with a perimeter of 20 centimeters. So Tiny Tim's just here to remind us, a quadrilateral is a 4-sided 2D shape. So a square might be 20 divided by 4, which equals 5, which means our first line of our perimeter is going to have to be 5 centimeters. Second line is also going to have to be 5 centimeters. And our last line, our third and fourth line, are going to be 5 centimeters also. Now, your challenge is to have a go at drawing as many quadrilaterals with a perimeter of 20 centimeters as possible. So think about, it has to have 4 sides. 2 of them have to be, the same length. So they have to have a pair of equal sides. How many different rectangles or quadrilaterals can you make? I'll let you pause the video and let you have a go. So looking at some of the answers, you could have had a 1 by 9, a 3 by 7, a 6 by 4, an 8 by 2. So the reason why we know it's only these, because all of these 2 values, 1 and 9, 3 and 7, 6 and 4, 8 and 2, all equal 10. And we know that the other sides are going to have the same value. So 1 add 1 is 2, 9 add 9 is 18, 18 add 2 is 20. Same with 3 and 7, 3 and 7 are 10, and 3 and 7 is also 10. So if you got 4, well done. Now guys, I'm going to leave you there to have a go at the rest of the worksheet. Remember, today maybe double check with mum and dad to see if you've measured them correctly, and they can tick your work, or maybe you've got an older brother or sister that can help you out, just because all the shapes are going to be slightly different in size unless you print them off. If you print the sheet off, then send them in and we can have a look for you. But best of luck, I'll see you in the next lesson.